Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's 10 o'clock. I would like to start by introducing myself. My name is Adriana Lopez. I'm the Public Safety Director for the City of Paramount. And on behalf of the Paramount City Council, I would like to welcome you to our 2021 Fireworks Educational Summit. This summit or this recording is, or this session is being recorded. So if anybody wants to look at it afterwards, they can do so as well. And I'm just going to say something briefly in Spanish for the people that want to view this later on. They have that option. Esta sesión se está grabando y será disponible en español en una fecha disponible o posterior. Okay, so with that, we want to go ahead and share the agenda with everyone. I'm sure that we're going to have residents logging on. And for the speakers, we'll let you know when your time is up and show you the agenda. So good morning. Like I said, my name is Adriana Lopez. I'm the Public Safety Director. Thank you for joining us this morning. We do have several guest speakers that are first responders. I do want to inform everybody, should they be dispatched to an emergency, we will have to change the agenda around. But the first thing on the item is just an overall overview of the city's code. But I just want to let everybody know that this summit is designed to educate on the potential injuries and legal consequences of using illegal fireworks. As you could see on the agenda, several of our guests deal with those consequences on an annual basis when our 4th of July holiday comes around. In addition, we have a guest speaker for one of our nonprofit organizations that is involved in the sale of safe and sane fireworks, and they've had a stand in the city of Paramount for a long time. And our last speaker is a vice president for the Safe and Sane or Safe and Sane distributor, and he will be discussing some of the differences between safe and sane fireworks and illegal fireworks. So I'll go ahead and get started. My overview is in regards to the city code. And I'm going to go over some of the efforts from our past and current city council, how they've tried to minimize the use of illegal fireworks. I'll begin by discussing some of the efforts that took place in 2002 when the city council established regulations not allowing additional safe and sane fireworks stands in our city. During that time, we had approximately 16 fireworks stands, and currently we are at 8. What the guidelines that changed in that year were that if a organization fails to submit an application that year, they cannot come back and request to sell safe and sane fireworks again. So through attrition, we are now down to 8 fireworks stands. So moving to 2010, at that time, the city council once again updated the firework code. And at that point, they established a fine schedule for fireworks violations. During that time, it was $250 fine if you use safe and sane outside of the days that are allowed, which is July 3rd and 4th. And it was $350 for the sale of safe and sane outside a authorized booth. And then it was $1,000 for the use, possession, and sales of illegal fireworks. Now, moving forward to 2020, that's when our city council opted to increase the fines for possessing, using, and selling illegal fireworks. And I'll go into those fines a little bit later. So continuing with our code, our code does allow for the sale and use of safe and sane fireworks in the city of Paramount. Like I mentioned earlier, safe and sane are only allowed to be used in our city July 3rd and July 4th. Those are the only days. We do allow the sales to begin on June 28th. And safe and sane fireworks do not contain dangerous elements, and they are classified by the state fire marshal. And our distributor representative will go into that a little bit more in detail with his presentation. So in regards to illegal fireworks, In the city of Paramount, like any other city in California, illegal fireworks are strictly prohibited. That means the possession, the use, and the sale of illegal fireworks. Illegal fireworks contain dangerous elements that are designed to explode or often propel into the air. As mentioned, the city code grants the authority for law enforcement to issue citations for the use of illegal fireworks. So these are the fines, the current fines. These were implemented in 2020. We have a fine, administrative fine of $5,000 if someone is selling illegal fireworks, and $2,000 for using or being in possession of illegal fireworks. We continue to have a fine for $250 if someone is using Safe and Sane outside of the permitted dates. And just to mention something, anytime somebody buys Safe and Sane in one of the booths, they are giving these guidelines with every purchase. So our residents that are buying Safe and Sane are informed of these codes. So moving on, we've always had a reward program, but last year the city council, well, I should say that the city increased the award to $500 and $1,000 to anybody who reports the use or sale of illegal fireworks. So having said that, we do have guidelines. The $500 ones, we issued approximately 3 last year for people who called and provided information that identified 1 or more people possessing, using, or selling illegal fireworks. Now, the $1,000 reward would be if it was a substantial seizure of illegal fireworks. In addition, to be eligible for one of these rewards, the information must lead to the issuance of a citation and the seizure of any leftover fireworks the person might have in their possession. Because there is eligibility for a reward, the informant couldn't remain, the information will be confidential, but they must leave contact information. And we think this year is going to help us as well, just having the reward available for people. So one of the things that I wanted to discuss was how to report the use or sales of illegal fireworks to the Sheriff's Department. Our city station or substation is open daily from Monday, or actually 7:30 to 9:30 daily. And you could either call the station directly at the listed number, which is 562-220-2002, and try to provide as much information as you can. After hours, it would be directly to the Sheriff's Department, Lakewood Sheriff's Department, at 562-623-3500. And once again, if you could have information, specific information as to the person who is either selling or using illegal fireworks, this is something that you could report. We do have other options where you could use the Paramount Works app, or you could use the city website to provide that information. The important thing is that you provide the information as soon as possible, and law enforcement will go out there and try to curtail and minimize the use of illegal fireworks in our city. One of the things that we've noticed is that if you are able to provide information of a property that has a history of using illegal fireworks, most of the time our law enforcement personnel will go out there and do a door knock and let them know that their house has been identified as a problematic household using illegal fireworks. So having said that, it is important that our residents report this type of activity as soon as possible. Every year, public safety will allocate many resources to both the education and the enforcement. So what we're doing this year is we're continuing to use our e-boards or electronic boards throughout the city to let people know that you cannot use illegal fireworks in our city, and it could result in a large fine, or that Safe and Sane fireworks can only be used in those 2 dates, which is July 3rd and July 4th. So I believe that I pretty much covered everything that I needed to cover in regards to giving you an overview of how the code is implemented in our city, as well as reporting illegal fireworks. I'm a little early, but I do want to get to my next speaker because as I mentioned, we do have several first responders, and if they need to respond to a call, they're going to go ahead and address that issue, obviously, as soon as possible. So, Captain Damari, are you on the line?
Yes, good morning. We're on the line. I'm also joined here by firefighter Trezise and firefighter Jackson that are going to be helping me out.
Okay, so before I hand it over to you, I just want to introduce you to everyone. Captain Damari has 20 years of experience with the Los Angeles Fire Department. He's currently stationed at Paramount Station, or Station 31, and he has been there for 11 years, and he has 13 years experience as a paramedic. So he's going to just cover some of the I guess, injuries that he has seen and witnessed in regards to the use of illegal fireworks, and then also maybe to some safe and sane ones. So, sir, please start your presentation.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We're coming to you from our kitchen, just FYI, because that's where we get our best Wi-Fi here. So sorry about that. We don't do too many Zoom meetings here at the fire service, but yeah, we were want to mention a few things. Again, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about injuries. We're also going to talk about maybe touch up on the threat of what illegal fireworks can present to property, and be it homes or other type of structures like garages and fences and trees, and even brush fires. The brush fires don't necessarily apply here, but we'll try and focus on the injury part. Just an overview. We used to inspect the stands. The city would provide us with the locations of the fireworks stands, the safe and sane ones, of course, in the city, and we would go out and inspect it. Now our Fire Prevention Bureau through the Los Angeles County Fire Department has taken over that task. So before the 4th of July, I believe it's 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before, they start going around making sure that all the safety requirements, there's not only the actual fireworks, but the stands could be an issue, as it was presented in Ontario, I believe, and I think firefighter Jackson might mention it later on. In Ontario, there was an issue with a home that pretty much exploded due to storing of illegal fireworks. So our fire prevention office will go around and inspect all the stands. As far as injuries, between the safe and sane fireworks and the illegal ones, sometimes it's hard for us in the field to determine the difference. Being so close to, I know we have out of this station we cover unincorporated Compton areas, the Dominguez area, and I know there's obviously no safe. It's unincorporated LA County. There is no safe and sane program, so there might be a big influx of illegal fireworks that come over into the city or from other sources. I know a few years back there was a big bust at the sheriff's. I'm talking maybe like 7-8 years ago, that the sheriffs and our arson investigators busted a big occupancy, commercial occupancy here in the city of Paramount that was loaded up with illegal fireworks. So as far as responding to the calls of illegal fireworks, fireworks injuries in general, again, it's hard for us to determine in the field what exactly the cause of the injury is, but we have to assume, and all three of us have worked numerous 4th of Julys, that the major ones were digits and hands are blown up, are coming from illegal fireworks. A lot of the injuries presented by the illegal fireworks are burns. Most of them are burns. I believe in 2000, I went out on our National Fire Protection Association website, and I pulled up a couple of numbers. In 2018, there was 9,100 firework related. This is both safe and sane and illegal fireworks injuries. So 9,100 that were seen in emergency room. So I'm sure there was many others that were treated at home. Out of those, 44% were burns. Now, obviously, the safe and sane fireworks are obviously going to be regulated more. Again, the stands are going to be inspected. You know, once they're sold to the public, there's a strict guideline. Information, just like it's been presented, information is going to be handed out, how to handle the fireworks, as opposed to the illegal contraband that comes in from different parts of the other country and a lot from Mexico and China. I don't know what the exact statistics are on that, but those are the very dangerous. Those are, again, we don't know who, how, where, when they were actually put together. And that's probably the cause of many devastating injuries. With that said, before we go into some of the calls that we've been on, I'll pass it on. Ben, Firefighter Jackson, you ready? Can
Yeah.
cover a couple of things. Pass it on to Firefighter Jackson.
Yeah, so as Captain Damari mentioned, recently there was a fire in Ontario that killed 2 people and injured 3 others. And it was real recently, what I was reading said it was March 16th of this year specifically. And I think probably a lot of us saw that on the news, and in just researching for this conversation, it came up easily. And basically, it's tragic that 2 people lost their lives, 3 others were injured, and it could have been a lot worse. No firefighters were killed, but we've all been to, all of us have been to fires where we're trying to work on doing what we do to put out a building fire, and something explodes and we don't really know what's going on. It could be illegal fireworks, it could be something else, but it makes our job way more dangerous, and it makes it more dangerous for us to help the public, with what we're supposed to do. So that's specifically, those were illegal fireworks in that case, according to the sources that were what I was reading. It didn't say anything about legal fireworks in that case being, stockpiled in a home. Specifically, as far as legal fireworks are concerned, I'll go over a couple things really quick about using legal fireworks. It says safe and sane fireworks. Remember too, this is something that's provided by our department. But the point that I bring up is that if somebody's injured by a firework, a legal, safe and sane firework, there's a good chance that it wasn't being used correctly at that point. If just going off of the points that they give us to review here. So some of the safety instructions here: always read directions and use common sense. Have an adult present. Use them outdoors only, away from buildings, vehicles, dry grass, and other flammable objects. And that's a really important point, because whatever firework it is, if it starts a building on fire, or if it starts a bunch of grass that's near a building, then we can obviously have a large incident from that. Light one at a time, move away quickly, keep others at a safe distance, never point or throw fireworks at another person, never alter or take apart, do not give them to young children under any circumstances. Have a bucket of water handy for emergencies and for dousing misfired and spent fireworks, and never attempt to relight or fix malfunctioning fireworks. So it's I haven't been to too many incidents where I could honestly say that we know the difference between whether they were sold legally or illegally. But that's pretty much what I have for you as far as that's concerned.
Good morning, everyone. Firefighter Trezise. Just want to touch on some stuff that we see kind of in the time frame of when safe and sane fireworks are sold, and when illegal fireworks are starting to come more prevalent. Right around 4th of July is obviously when Safe and Sane stands go up and they're able to sell fireworks legally. And then also illegal fireworks start to come into play. Oftentimes we'll start going on calls a few days before 4th of July and then up to months after 4th of July in regards to fires, burns, and other firework injuries. Touching on the fires that will go on, oftentimes the use of fireworks, whether safe and sane, but more prevalent with the illegal fireworks is it'll catch something on fire, and whether that's a home or grass or a tree, something does catch fire, and then it presents obvious danger to people and also structures. So what might be a simple tree fire can present itself as something very simple, but continue to burn and get into some homes and cause for more damage to happen. And that's something we'll see often. And then you throw in weather into the equation, and that makes it even more dangerous for us and property. Going back to the injuries, oftentimes during that time frame, whether it's right at 4th of July or, like I said, months after, we'll go on a lot of injuries where people lose hands, fingers, they'll have burns, whether first, second, third degree, which are very dangerous injuries to begin with. So oftentimes we'll go on these calls fairly often during the July months or the summer months after fireworks have been sold. So those are things that we are aware of and that present itself with illegal fireworks.
Okay, thank you, Firefighter Trezise and Firefighter Jackson. This is Captain Damari again back. Just to kind of wrap it up a little bit, I'll give you a couple of calls that I've gone on and that I can remember, but also I just took a peek, and I think it might have been mentioned in the introduction. 4th of July happens to be on a Sunday, so obviously the 3rd, this particular year in 2021. So on the 3rd, that's when the partying starts. And by partying, of course, it's a celebration of our independence years ago. And with that comes celebrations usually mean alcohol. And we're all very well much aware of once alcohol is introduced in any setting, our guard gets lowered by it. All of a sudden, a family gathering turns into, could be a nightmare when adults who are just having a good time and might have just, even if it's predominantly safe and sane fireworks, there might be some illegal fireworks, their guard is down because of either the alcohol or just carelessness. And all of a sudden kids get their hands on these illegal fireworks. And that's when, it can get real ugly. Young kids, they're just trying to they see the adults lighting even the safe and sane fireworks. They don't know the difference. They're not going to follow directions, stop and read. Maybe they've never seen such a powerful, really bombs. Sometimes some of these illegal fireworks can be considered bombs, and I'm sure the sheriff's department can or manufacturers of the fireworks later on in the presentation will give the breakdowns of each firework, their capability to destroy things and damage things and hurt things. But anyways, family gatherings, again, alcohol playing a factor. And just remember out there that once it comes to those celebrations, be it the 3rd of July and the 4th of July, my experience has been once it started getting a little dark, when, the barbecues are been going on for a few hours and it's time to start celebrating, that's when the fireworks shows start. And by fireworks show, I mean not the actually sponsored by a city or a club with fire marshals there and the fire department, but these are like in the streets. That's when the action begins. And you have to remember that our resources are going to be very depleted. As soon as it starts getting dark, we're going to start getting calls for, again, fires, injuries, dozens of injuries throughout the city. And we're calling in extra units. Not only are we stopping extra units, we're calling in extra units into the city to back us up. And I'm sure the sheriff's department is the same. So yeah, you want to do the prevention that could be done, like it was mentioned before in the introduction, as far as the tipping line, to turn in people that are using illegal fireworks. Once the sun goes down on the 3rd and the 4th, it's not going to happen. But the sheriffs can speak more about that. I can tell you on our side, as far as enforcing it, or we're just going to be bouncing around from call to call. If a citizen does come up somehow into some fireworks, they're not sure if they're legal or illegal, they can obviously, like it was mentioned, drop them off at the Paramount substation in town on Paramount and Somerset, or they could drop them off here at the fire station. And what we would do is then turn them over to our partners in the sheriff's department for them to handle it. But if don't want to go to the sheriff's station, they can always turn them in here at the fire station on Somerset and Garfield. And now just to wrap it up a little bit, as far as a couple of injuries, and one that stands out to me, it was going back a few years again. It was my first 4th of July. I just gotten on the fire department in June, and I came from an area where 4th of July was really, you go to maybe the beach and watch a show from the pier, or you just see the show from the high school. It wasn't, and I'm going to use it in quotation marks, because that's my personal view, the chaos that sometimes happens in cities where illegal fireworks are infiltrated by. So I was working in a city where there was quite a few illegal fireworks, and the sun went down, and we got called to an apartment complex where a young man couldn't have been more than 8. I was a paramedic at the time. We got called up to where I believe it was an M500. It was way bigger than an M80, lit in his hand and literally blew his hand off. And being a brand new firefighter paramedic, it kind of I'm like, wow, this is for real. Not being a veteran, and to the veterans out there, thank you for your service, but not having seen a traumatic injury to that extent ever in my life, it I don't want to say haunts me, but I remember it 28 years later, coming up on 28 years later. There's more of those type of calls every year. We're going to have 1 or 2 each unit. Here at the Station 31, we have the big ladder truck, we have a fire engine, a paramedic squad. We each get assigned different calls, so we each see different types of injuries. Obviously the ones that we're going to remember the most are the injuries to the young kids, the young people, because of their, I don't want to say ignorance, but lack of knowledge of these dangerous bombs, possibly. But those are the ones that we're going to remember. And, you can only imagine. I don't want to go into details unless there's a question about it. But again, going to wrap it all up, we've all 3 of us, firefighter Jackson, myself, and firefighter Trezise, so there's going to be burns, fingers being blown off, eye injuries. Some of them have actual shrapnel that comes out, penetrating injuries. So anyways, we got a few minutes left. If there's any questions, if we can navigate through this Zoom meeting, if there's any questions for us, we'll be more than happy to answer the questions. Or if there's something that we haven't covered that you would like covered, we will attempt to cover it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all that information. I know that working with the city of Paramount for over 2 decades, we've unfortunately had our share of injuries here in our city. Thinking back some years ago on the actual 4th of July holiday, we did have a fatal incident involving a child, and it was basically, like you said, alcohol, fireworks, and just being irresponsible with the way we're celebrating our 4th of July. So thank you very much for all that information. I really appreciate it. And if we get any questions this is going to be posted on our city website. So if anybody has any questions, I will direct them towards you. So thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so That's it for us as far as the questions will be posted on and we'll reply as they come through, or how does that work? Sorry.
Yes, I will forward them to you at a later date and
Okay,
yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Okay, so we will have a guest speaker from the Sheriff's Department, but right now I would like to take some time to acknowledge our city council that have joined us. We have our Mayor Brenda Olmos on the line, and we have our Vice Mayor Velma Quiller Stallings, and we also have our City Council member Isabel Aguayo. At this time, I would like to see if our Mayor Brenda Olmos would like to say a few words. We will ask you to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to this Fireworks Education Summit. I really want to start by thanking all the speakers that joined us on this Saturday morning and for providing this great information and actually the true stories of the dangers of illegal fireworks that have actually happened in our community. I could tell you this will be a topic of conversation for some time, but my message really is as a community, we really need to come together to work to stop the use and the sale the sales of illegal fireworks in our community, in our city. But again, I don't want to take too much of your time. Again, it's just a quick thank you for joining us today. To the speakers, to the residents that are listening now and that ones that will be watching the video, please, again, reach out to us if you hear of the sale, if you hear them, you know, I don't want to say, how can you explain in the sense of even lighting illegal fireworks, please reach out to us, give us a call. You know, Adriana's going to be providing all that great information today. But again, thank you for joining and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Olmos. And I do see Vice Mayor Quayler Stallings. If she would like to make a statement, I will go ahead and unmute you. Okay.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
I would like to thank the speakers and our residents and my colleagues for tuning in, and thank you for all the information. It'll be very helpful to us and also very helpful to the community. And thank you again, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And then I'll go to Councilmember Aguayo. Would you like to say a couple of words?
Like my colleagues have said, you know, thank you to all the speakers. It's crucial that we get this information out to our residents and to the residents that have taken, this time to be on, any questions, anything they may have. The only way for us to know what issues need to be addressed is if they let us know, instead of trying to guess, or, sometimes the easiest thing to do is to just go ahead and ask, so that if we don't know, we can, put something like this together and, we can all be informed together. So I hope everybody has a blessed day, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Council Member. So what we're going to do right now, unfortunately, we don't have the explosives and arson and explosives representative from the Sheriff's Department right now. So we're going to go ahead and go to our next speaker, which is Lieutenant, can't see the name right now, Lieutenant Corletto from the Whittier Police Department. And we invited him because he'll go into it a little bit more detail, but City of Whittier does not allow safe and sane fireworks. However, they also patrol Santa Fe Springs. And so he'll just be discussing some of the commonalities that they experience with both the city of Paramount and Santa Fe Springs, both allowing safe and sane. And then also the differences and similarities between the city of Paramount and the city of Whittier. Sir, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. So a little backstory. The city of Whittier hasn't allowed the use of any fireworks since the early 90s. And I almost want to say the year 1991. And I know that from speaking to a retired lieutenant. So there's a culture here that doesn't allow the use of fireworks. In the city of Santa Fe Springs, which is a contract city that we have, they do allow fireworks and they allow safe and sane fireworks. Now there's regulations to the sale of them. They, I think they limit the window to when the vendors and the stands can go up. But apart from that, the city of Whittier does do a fireworks show at a local park. So does the city of Santa Fe Springs. So they allow and invite the public to come to this event so that they can participate in the celebration. Apart from that, we as a police department have to cater to the two different interests of two different cities, two different city councils. One that doesn't allow fireworks at all, and one that allows safe and sane. So with that, it's an interesting enforcement posture on our end. So for the 4th of July, the city of Whittier, the Whittier Police Department invests a considerable amount of resources and extra staffing for police officers. And we patrol the city looking for fireworks violators. And as the calls for service increase, we respond to them. We also have in our municipal code, strictly prohibiting the use of fireworks, with the fine being $1,000 for every participant. The city of Santa Fe Springs has something similar for illegal fireworks. So the impact to our department is that the 4th of July is staffed heavily with extra resources, extra police officers in order to respond to all the calls for service of fireworks. Speaking on behalf of the community of Whittier, a lot of our citizens, city of Whittier is a city of trees. There's a lot of trees in our city. And so there's understandably the concern of a fire. Now, there have been small fires in the past, in the distant past. And apart from that, we've had minor injuries for participants who have used illegal fireworks or used safe and sane fireworks improperly, where they've lost fingers or sustained other types of burns. But so far, nothing major as to the level of like a death has occurred so far in our jurisdiction. So we're very grateful for that. But other than that, you know, from a neighboring city such as ours to a city like yours, that's been our experience. You know, we have one city that doesn't allow it, one city that does, safe and sane, and we just do extra staffing. We cater the interests of both different demographics, both different city councils. At one point, the city of Whittier did vote to allow, I want to say it was a few years ago, the return of safe and sane, but a small movement, a grassroots movement of our community in Whittier overturned that. So it's never been allowed. And that's been recent. So the sentiment hasn't changed in Whittier. Santa Fe Springs is a little bit different. But I mean, if there's any questions in particular that you guys are curious about, I'm more than happy to discuss it. If you're curious to know what our calls for service look like, our volumes, I actually just did the numbers real quick. In 2020 alone, 2 weeks prior to the 4th of July and 2 weeks after. So I gave it a 1 month time frame. The call volume in Whittier for fireworks alone was 435. For Santa Fe Springs, it was about 90. So, and it actually intensifies as we get closer to the 4th of July. So it does peak around that time. But other than that, in terms of what my experience are and what the city of Whittier's experience is with fireworks, I mean, so far so good. We've been doing it this way for a very long time now, and we seem to have found a happy medium. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to collaborate with you.
Thank you, sir. I do just want to see if you could elaborate a little bit more. I know that we're trying to provide information, detailed information to our residents in regards to having a city that does not allow safe and sane and having a city that does. Do you see a lot of similarities in terms of the use of illegal fireworks?
That one's tough to answer. I wouldn't be able to give you an accurate number right now. But just recalling from my experience, I see them in both cities. In Whittier, we get called to all the fireworks, so we respond on all of them. And every firework we come across in Whittier is confiscated. Of all those that are confiscated, I don't recall many of them being illegal. So in that capacity, the ones that we do confiscate in Santa Fe Springs are obviously all illegal. But I don't know if one city because it doesn't allow it, and one city because it kind of allows it, if there's a greater propensity for illegal fireworks in between the two. So I apologize, I can't answer that one directly.
No, that's okay, sir. We just want to make sure that our residents understand that sometimes even with cities that do not allow safe and sane, you will have usage of illegal fireworks. And that's our biggest concern, is curtailing the number of calls involving illegal fireworks. And so that's one of the reasons why we felt it was beneficial for everybody to hear your experience working, being in a unique situation where you deal with two cities with completely different ordinances.
Yes.
Okay, well, sir, thank you very much. I really appreciate all your information. I think it's great to have somebody represent a city like yours, where you're dealing with two different things and knowing what to enforce when you are going to a call to a specific city. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we don't have the detective from the arson and explosives yet from the sheriff's department. So we'll be going on to our next speaker, who will be representing the agencies that actually sell in our city. And what I asked Pastor Ken Korver to do is just to discuss what exactly the nonprofits, specifically his, utilize the profits from the sales of Safe and Sane to assist our community and to enhance the experiences from some of the youth in our community. Sir, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Adriana?
go ahead.
Adriana, can you hear me?
Yes, I can,
Okay.
sir.
Number one, yeah, my name is Ken Korver, pastor at Emmanuel Church in Paramount resident for the last 50 years. Very grateful for our city. I love Paramount. We're really blessed. A great big thank you to Adriana and your role of looking out for our public safety, and really grateful for our entire staff of our city. We have a phenomenal staff. Thank you to our police. Thank you to our firefighters, and grateful for our mayor and vice mayor and council members. You're doing a wonderful job, and grateful. I'm just grateful. A few things I'd like just to share. My son's an LA fireman, so I'm a little concerned about doing things the right way. We have been selling the legal fireworks for many, many years. And where it goes in our church, every penny of the profits goes to help the kids that can't afford to go to camps. We have camps in the winter and camps in the summer, where you're trying to bless the kids of the community and allow them to go on what we call as a retreat for 2 to 3 days to grow in their love of God, and more within that, how much God loves them and how they're to love each other and be just gifts to the community, back to the community. So that's why we do it. Every penny goes to the people. Like, my kids did not get scholarship money. I could pay for my kids, but we got people in the community that could not afford it. So that's where the money went. $12,000 to $15,000 would get raised through this. Our goal is to be a servant to the city. So if the city ever decides, you know what, we think it's best not to have safe and sane fireworks, if the city thinks that, we're ready to not do it in a heartbeat. Again, our goal is to be a servant. We help the kids of the community. If the city wants us to stop it, we'd be thrilled and glad, because our goal is to do whatever the city wants in terms of always being a servant to the city. So thanks for letting us have the Safe and Sane, and we're ready to stop it if that's what the city would like. And our goal is to serve. So thank you. Am I still with you?
Yes, I'm sorry, sir. You know, with technology, you're like clicking, and it wasn't doing anything. So, but thank you very much, Pastor Ken Korver. I know that your church has been involved, like you said, in the sales of Safe and Sane for a long time. And with those profits, you've been able to assist our youth in attending some of the camps. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for always being involved with our city presentations and overall with every activity that's very worthy for our residents. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, we still don't have anybody from the Sheriff's Department. I've been on the phone. They're going to go ahead and log on in a few. But Mr. John Kelly, if you could go ahead and start your presentation, I think it would be great. We did want to have representation from everybody who's involved in the sales of Safe and Sane. And Mr. John Kelly has a presentation. And sir, if you just would let us know when you need us to turn the slide, we will do that for you.
I'm sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Yeah, you can just go to the first slide. My name is John Kelly. I'm Vice President with TNT Fireworks. We are the one of the wholesale distributors in the state of California. I want to clarify, we're not a manufacturer of product. All the product that we're going to talk about here in the next 10, 15 minutes is about 99% of it is manufactured in China now, actually, both illegal and Safe and Sane. So I've been with the company for 33 years now, and I want to point out that TNT Fireworks celebrated its 100-year anniversary last year. Company. Next slide, please. Are fireworks legal in California? Answer is yes. In a state law adopted in the early 50s, the state put into place under the Health and Safety Code all regulations as it relates to fireworks used by consumers in the state of California. So basically, the state's stance is that we're going to test the product and regulate it. We're going to establish the time constraints that it can be used, and we're going to establish minimum age criteria. And lastly, it gives that discretion then to local municipalities who can opt in to the fireworks program. So our the time that it can be used under state law is 12 noon on June the 28th, and that expires on actually this under state law at noon on July 6th. Now, again, why is that? And I can only conjecture that a law written back in the 1950s when shopping habits were such that people got paid and went to the bank on Fridays and had Saturdays and Sundays as their shopping time, that perhaps it was constructed that way so that when the 4th of July fell in the middle of the week, they would still have an ability to go and do their shopping. Cities can adopt a more restrictive regulation. That is to say, they can shorten the sale time, and as Adriana pointed out on the front end, they can shorten the use time, which in Paramount is on the 3rd and the 4th. The minimum age is regulated by the state, and again, a city can adopt a more stringent guideline. That age is 16 in the state of California. So, and lastly, well, next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about Safe and Sane. If you look down the bottom left of your screen there, there's a Safe and Sane seal that is affixed to all products that are approved for consumption by citizens of California. There's actually a laboratory testing procedure that goes on. There's a up until 2019, pre-COVID, there's a fire station in Ione, California. It's about 40 minutes outside of Sacramento. And any product that any wholesaler intends to distribute in the state of California must go through Ione. And there is a team from CAL FIRE, typically about 3 people that go out there. And they will do a lot of written analysis first in terms of is the labeling correct? They'll test fuses. They will check for EX numbers to make sure that everything, they'll check packaging, they'll check that the fuses are taped, they'll weigh the product. There is a restriction in the state, no more than 500 grams of pyrotechnic composition may be contained in any one firework item. And once all the paperwork is done, then they actually will take 10 of each item and they will go out and light them one at a time to ensure the following. Number one, that the emitted shower of sparks does not exceed a 10-foot limit. It may not go outside a 12-foot limit radius. May not tip over. They test for residual burn after the item is over. So once it satisfies all that, and only when it satisfies all of those criteria, will it get the safe and sane fireworks and maybe distributed in the state of California. Next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about the types. We've talked about illegal fireworks. So what exactly is illegal fireworks? We talked earlier that safe and sane, basically, it can't fly up in the air, can't explode. It has a 10-foot ceiling and all the composition limits that we talked about. Over on the left-hand side of your screen, probably those three are a little more passé, shall I say, in terms of what we're seeing out on the street today. These are more fashionable, probably in the 70s, 80s, but they're still out there. Cherry bombs, which of course Bart Simpson made famous on one of his episodes. Roman candles, bottle rockets, we hardly see those anymore. They're very, very inexpensive, and quite frankly, they went the way of the cassette tape. They just aren't doing it for the illegal fireworks consumer anymore. You move into the middle aisle there. Probably the most popular that you're seeing now are aerial shells and mortars. Mortars is simply a cardboard cylinder tube in which a small shell is lit and dropped in, and it's propelled somewhere between 50 to 100 feet in the air, and then there is the experience that goes on up there. There's also items that are called cakes. These are items that will shoot out maybe 6, 12, or 24 individual shots once they're lit. Helicopters, we don't see so much. It was referenced earlier, the two on the one in the middle and the bottom right, M80s and M100s. These are items, these are basically mini sticks of dynamite. These items are actually federally banned. You can't buy these anywhere in the country. And if you are caught with them, you're facing a violation of federal guidelines, which is a lot more serious than local. So silver salutes, we don't see so much of that anymore. Firecrackers, we still do see those, particularly in religious celebrations that take place oftentimes in certain communities throughout Southern California, particularly in the city of Los Angeles. You can go and apply for a permit under a religious angle, and you will see these draped over stoplights for Chinese New Year's in some of the cities down and areas down there. So next slide, please. Talk a little bit about our product, the safe and sane. On the top left there are spinners. The most popular there is the ground bloom flower. Those are the multicolored ones that spin around in a circle. Down below that, cone fountains, again, that was popular, I would say, back in the 60s and 70s. We don't see many of those. Those were primarily manufactured by US manufacturers, which again, I mentioned that 99% of the product comes from China now. Handheld items, you see in there, I want to point out here that what you're seeing a picture of are called morning glories. These are actually a bamboo construction stick with the effect on the end that you light. A lot of people, particularly my age, that look back on 4th of July, often refer to these as sparklers, which is the wire core sparkler. I want to point out that in 1991, the wire core sparkler was placed on the banned list of items here in California. The reason for that is actually industry approached the California State Fire Marshal. We had done a study back in the early 90s of injuries. We found at that time that going back 10 years that 7% of all fireworks injuries in California were related to safe and sane, and 93% were related to illegal. Interesting to us, of that 17%, 1/2 were related to the wire core sparkler. And for those of you familiar with that, it burned very, very hot, very bright. You can do your research. There's a variety of opinions of actually how hot it is, but it's hundreds of degrees in terms of temperature. And with wire, it stays hot afterwards. And so, you know, kids in the 60s and 70s, it was very popular. Go buy some wire core sparklers with whatever money you had left over from your stand. And, you know, what would parents do? Inevitably, they'd put them into the hands of children and say, everybody get on the front lawn and wave them around. We're going to take a picture and we're going to send it to grandma. Once that item is discarded and laid on the ground, it's still hot. And 4th of July, pretty typical to run around your bare feet in the grass. And we were finding a lot of people getting burned, or curious children would pick them up. So those are a little story behind why that took place. But wire core sparklers are illegal in the state of California. Down at the bottom, novelties, there's some little turtles and a little tank there. We don't distribute many of those simply because they don't travel well. But I do want to spend a little time on novelties. The more popular novelty items are called snaps. That's where you throw the little device down and it makes a pop. We also have party poppers. Those are the items that you celebrate with at New Year's Eve. You pull a little string and it pops string all over your carpet. That has progressed somewhat. We have what we call our confetti line now. And instead of the little streamers that come out, it's just rains with some confetti. These are all novelty items. They're not firework items. They're not regulated at all. They're just a general merchandise item, which is why you'll find them twice a year in the Target stores, in the grocery stores, in the Walmarts and the Sam's Clubs. And while a lot of the packaging and coloring is very similar to that you see on the 4th of July, again, it is illegal in the state of California to distribute safe and sane fireworks inside of a store. That's why you have all of the stands set up. Up in the top right, the smoke item is pretty popular. Probably the most popular counter item are the box or tube fountains that you see now. And that is really the growth in that. We sell about 50% of our items are these individual counter items that vary in price from $1.99 all the way up to $90 for one item. So next slide, please. Just kind of wrapping things up here. There's over 270 communities across the state that currently allow the sale of safe and sane fireworks. Next slide, please. And here's just a list. Again, I know that this is public record now. We have this on our website too, but for those who are curious about where we sell in Southern California, we have 67 cities spread out over 6 counties. So we just listed all of the individual cities that allow the sales there. So last slide, please. Just in conclusion, you know, in layman's terms, if it goes up in the air or explodes, and then I apologize, I was not clear in this, but I'll make very clear in my statement here that, as was pointed out, the sales are allowed from June 28th to July 4th. Use of our product, safe and sane fireworks, is only allowed on the 3rd and the 4th. There's one other safety item I wanted to maybe just kind of throw out there. A lot of times in our orientations with our organizations and in our literature, we'll encourage to get a 5 or 10 gallon bucket of water to have on site. And we also recommend to have a hose. Now, the bucket of water, you know, we're not back in the cowboy days where we fight fires by throwing a bucket of water on. The bucket of water is simply, once a firework item has expired, we encourage people to pick that item up from the base and to soak it in a bucket of water. Why is that? Well, it's kind of a safety feature. An expired firework will smolder. And if you immediately throw it into a plastic trash can, and then you live in an apartment and you throw it into your dumpster downstairs, and then you go to a 4th of July party or you go to bed or whatever, the potential for that to smolder and to ignite that dumpster and cause damage to the building or worse exists. So we've seen a lot of that in analyzing the statistics over the years. So that's one of the things that we do encourage. Kind of to the point of, you know, being in a community that does or does not allow safe and sane fireworks, and the differences, you know, I think we saw a lot of fireworks use last year, both safe and sane and illegal. And you know, that shouldn't come as a big surprise to anybody. We were we were sequestered really since Valentine's Day, every holiday up to the 4th of July, to stay at home and not celebrate or not go to graduations or not get families together. And in fact, a week before the 4th of July, the beaches were closed. And so kind of the list of what you could do on the 4th of July was you were supposed to stay at home. And many people chose to light fireworks. We've been in this business, as I said, I've been in it for over 30, but our companies and Safe and Sane have been here since the 50s. Illegal fireworks is and continues to be my wicked twin brother. There's just no doubt about it. And getting rid of us, getting rid of Safe and Sane, I guess, as it were, we don't believe, we maintain that is not going to pave a road to a quiet 4th of July that everybody goes to bed at 9 o'clock. And if you don't believe that, you need to contact the folks in Long Beach. You need to contact the people in downtown Los Angeles. You need to contact Pasadena. And, as was discussed a little bit earlier, the city of Ontario, who has never allowed the sale of Safe and Sane fireworks, and yet had a tremendous risk there. That investigation is ongoing. We're watching that very, very closely. There are multiple agents and agencies, including federal agencies, that are investigating that right now in terms of exactly what happened there. And that's a tragic, horrible event that did occur. The loss of life in any occasion is a terrible thing. But, that was not any of the Safe and Sane product that was stored in there. That was illegal full C product. We talked about full C with respect to illegal. One of the things that we're seeing is in the neighborhoods now is Class B fireworks, which is the stuff that the people at the parks, the professionals, shoot. And those are slowly making their way into the neighborhoods now. And that is of grave concern to our industry, and I'm sure to public safety as well, because that's a whole different ballgame in terms of storage and capability if something were to go sideways. So I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem, and council members the opportunity. We've been side by side with Paramount going back to 2002, and I view our ability to be in your community as a privilege and not a right. And we, as a company, want to continue to work in cooperation to do what we want to do, to continue a tradition that many people have enjoyed for many, many years, and that's to enjoy a box of Safe and Sane fireworks as part of their 4th of July celebrations, and to do so responsibly and to do so without injury. Unfortunately, we just don't read about the majority of people that happens to. So I appreciate your time today, Adriana, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Great information. We're actually going to take some of the information that you shared with us and share it with our community so they understand a little bit more what we consider or what the state considers an illegal firework. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time. Right now, we are going to be going to the guest speaker for the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Unfortunately, the gentleman who was scheduled to speak had to go out on a bomb threat, but we are happy to say that our lieutenant, our station lieutenant, will be taking over this conversation and this presentation. So we have Lieutenant Omar Camacho with us. And Lieutenant, can you hear us? One second, we're trying to get him on. Lieutenant, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Lieutenant Camacho. Sir, are you on the line?
Here we go. Can you see me?
We can't see you, but we could hear you, sir.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Omar Camacho. I'm with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Thank you for introducing me. Just wanted to speak briefly regarding fireworks. I know there's been a couple guest speakers already that have given already information on this. I am here in place of Arson Explosive Detective Schulze. He had a last-minute call out and was unable to join us. As a Sheriff's Department, we're always enforcing the possession of these illegal fireworks. It is an American tradition of parades, cookouts, and fireworks that help us celebrate the summer season, especially our nation's birthday on 4th of July. However, fireworks can turn a joyful celebration into a painful memory when children or adults are injured. Although these legal consumer fireworks can be relatively safe, all fireworks are hazardous and can cause injury. Fireworks are classified as a hazardous substance under the Federal Hazardous Substance Act. These illegal explosive type of devices, M80s, quarter sticks, and professional display fireworks should never be handled by consumers due to serious injury and death that could occur. When we are enforcing the possession of these illegal fireworks on a daily basis, our deputies are already out in full force, and we will continue to do so through 4th of July. I never want anybody to downplay what occurs with these illegal fireworks. If you know anyone that has these fireworks or continue to light them off, please contact us at the Paramount substation or the Lakewood Sheriff's Station. And please remind friends and family these are arrestable offenses, and the citations have heavy fines. I'm going to read off a couple of these fireworks. I've already listened to a couple of guest speakers. They've given great information, so I won't repeat some of the stuff they've already stated. The confiscation part of it, if we do arrest and confiscate these illegal fireworks, we will be disposing of them properly. I also want people to understand that you need to contact us here at your local agency if you don't live in the city of Paramount, and if you do, it will be the Paramount substation or the Lakewood station. Everybody, thank you. Be safe, and know that we're here for you guys. Thank you.
Sir, just a couple of questions for you, if you could answer them. In regards to, I'm not sure if you have this information readily available for you, but in regards to the amount of, or how much does somebody have to have in their possession for it to be considered a felony? Would you know that off the top of your head?
Melanie, I'll tell you here, the ones that are illegal, and as far as having the possession, they're either a felony or misdemeanor based on what type of firework they are, and if they're legal or permitted based on city ordinance. The dangerous, the bottle rockets, the firecrackers, the M80s, the quarter stick, those are all illegal, and just being in near possession of them, that in itself is a felony.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. You take it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and turn my camera on so we can kind of summarize this. Okay, great. So we had a lot of great guest speakers, and I want to thank them personally and on behalf of the City Council. I do want to summarize a couple of things because we've been talking and allowing the experts to share some of their information. One of the things that I wanted to discuss is just to give parents and adults some direction as to if you're going to allow your children, and hopefully not young children, to use safe and sane fireworks. Make sure that there is adult supervision. Make sure your kids are wearing shoes. We do get a lot of little injuries because kids are running around with either flip-flops or not shoes. Make sure that they are wearing shoes that's going to protect their feet. In addition to that, please make sure that if you are going to consume alcohol, you do that responsibly. Don't overconsume, because that sometimes doesn't allow you to be as vigilant when you're supervising your kids. Okay, now just going into some, what I would like to call housekeeping items. We encourage all our residents to pick up their trash after the 4th of July. Okay, it's very, very important. You could celebrate in a responsible way here in the city of Paramount by using safe and sane. At any point, you should not be using illegal fireworks. We already discussed it. It's illegal. It's a hefty fine. Unfortunately, I've seen residents who have gotten fined $1,000 for having X amount of firecrackers. Those we already went over. Those are illegal. So make sure you're making the right decisions. In addition to that, respect your neighbors. If you are going to have a gathering, make sure that if you're going to have music, it's loud enough for your own entertainment and not for the whole block. It's very important. We have to make sure that we're respectful to our neighbors, not only people that you know, but also the neighbors that maybe you don't know. We have to make sure that we're respectful. Having said that, I want to go over some of the things that can result if you do not follow the rules, and that means parking legally. For whatever reason, we see a lot of illegal parking on the day of July 4th. You will get cited if we have to go out there. It could be double park. It could be parking in your, basically on your driveway, but blocking the sidewalk. That is a violation. You cannot block your sidewalk. So please make sure that you're doing that. Having said that, the city of Paramount does have an ordinance, and it's for, we refer to it as a disturbance violation. So it could be if you're having a loud party, the music's too loud, and you're just making sure that your party stays within your area and you're not impeding or you're not causing any ruckus in your neighborhood. So the disturbance violations, the ordinance states that if a deputy has to go out there and give you a warning, that warning is good for 30 days. So for example, if you have a party on the 4th of July that gets a little bit out of control and the deputy has to go there, and the deputy had already been there within 30 days, that fine will be $250. If they have to go back a third time, that fine would be $500. And a fourth time would be $750. And that is individual citations. So it's not $750 total. No, it's going to be $250 plus $500 plus $750. Unfortunately, I have seen residents who get that fine amount. So please make sure if you're going to have a gathering, you do it responsibly and respect your neighbors. In addition to that, if you have a pool, make sure that you're not consuming alcohol irresponsibly. Be responsible once again. Unfortunately, there are annual deaths related to pool safety. So be vigilant if you're going to have the children in your pool. Make sure you're responsible when it comes to that. And you have adult supervision once again. And just to make sure we understand that you cannot go to the parks and light any fireworks. The parks are closed, and at any time, no one should be lighting fireworks at our parks, and that includes Safe and Sane. So you cannot use Safe and Sane or illegal fireworks at any of our parks. So in conclusion, I hope that you found this summit to be helpful and beneficial. This is going to be recorded and put on our city website. So if you would like to encourage other residents to watch this at any time, if there are additional questions that you would like to make, feel free to contact me at alopez@paramountcity.com, or you could call the station at 562-220-2002, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. I think this summit was very beneficial and very detail oriented. So with that, I would like to say thank you and have a great Saturday. Bye.